I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel and like this video. My goal is to reach the first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you and enjoy. Most guys don't lose their marriage in one big explosion. It's usually a slow leak. The tone gets colder, the answers get shorter, and somehow you're the only one trying to keep the place standing. This story is about catching that leak early, before you start bargaining for basic respect. It's also about what to do when you see the pattern. How to stop asking for permission to be treated like a partner, how to protect your time and money without turning into a petty cop, and how to stay calm when someone is clearly trying to make you look crazy for noticing reality. I'm not telling this to sound heroic. I'm telling it because a lot of men waste years trying to communicate with someone who's already running a separate plan. It started at dinner. Normal Tuesday. Same kitchen. Same mortgage. Same two people pretending we were still a team. I was talking about a problem at work. Real problem, not whining. A project got dumped on me last minute. Deadlines moved. My boss was playing that figure-it-out game. I wasn't asking her to fix it. I just wanted my wife to be in the room with me for 30 seconds. Lacey sat across from me with her phone on her lap under the table. The screen kept lighting up like a little heartbeat. Her eyes dipped down every few seconds, like she was checking an oven timer. I finished my sentence and waited. Nothing. Not even a lazy wow. So, I asked, any thoughts? She didn't look up. You're probably the reason it's a problem. I pushed my plate back. Not angry. Just done with the stupidity. Got it. Support in this house is scheduled, or only when it's convenient for you. She finally raised her eyes like I'd interrupted her show. Don't dramatize. I gave a small laugh. Yeah, I'm the dramatic one. My bad for expecting basic interest from my own wife. She shrugged, picked up her fork like the conversation was a fly she'd swat later, and glanced down at her lap again. That was the first time my brain didn't go to how do we fix this? It went to, what am I paying for here? If I'd known where it was headed, I would have stopped trying to make it make sense a lot sooner. A few days later, I was driving across town for a client visit and passed near Lacey's office. I wasn't stalking. I wasn't checking up. It was literally the route. I saw her near the building entrance. She stood close to a guy, mid-40s, dress shirt, that neat haircut people get when they want to look reliable. They weren't doing anything outrageous. No grabbing, no scene, just talking. But her face was different. At home, she looked at me like I was another task. Out there, she looked at him like his opinion mattered, like she was tuned in. I kept driving. No horn, no U-turn. I just filed it away. That night, I asked like a normal husband asks a normal question. I drove by your office today, I said while she poured herself water. Saw you outside. You with a coworker? The response came too fast, too polished, too detailed. Yeah, that was Dan from the neighboring department. He needed to go over the report because we have a new schedule, and I stayed like 5 extra minutes because he had a meeting. And also, why were you even over there? That's weird. I leaned on the counter, amused in the way you get amused when someone lies badly. Wow, I said. I asked who. And you gave me a full transcript. Her eyes went flat. Because you like to make things up. I nodded slowly. Right. So when I ask a basic question, I'm making things up. Convenient. She took a sip of water and stared at me over the rim. You're doing it again. You're complicating everything. There it was. The phrase that became her favorite tool. You're complicating everything. Translation, stop asking questions. Keep funding the lifestyle. Stay in your lane. Over the next couple of weeks, the puzzle pieces started showing up in places I didn't want to look. She began disappearing for errands at odd times. She stopped wanting the usual spots. If I suggested our regular coffee place, she'd wrinkle her nose. Too many people, she'd say. Since when do you hate people? I asked one Saturday morning. Since I got tired of running into everyone. She replied, like that was a normal sentence. And then one day I heard her on the phone in the laundry room. She didn't know I was in the hallway because the dryer was running. Her voice dropped. Quiet, but sharp. Just not there, she said. Not where someone could see you. I didn't barge in. I didn't demand the phone. I just stood there, listened to the end of the call, then walked back into the kitchen and made a note in my head that felt like a door closing. A few nights later, I was taking the trash out and ran into Mike from her building. Mike did maintenance there. Big guy, calm eyes, the kind of man who doesn't overtalk. We'd met a couple times when I helped Lacey carry something to her car. He nodded at me. Hey, Trent. Mike, I said. How's life in the glamorous world of broken elevators? He cracked a small smile. Same circus. We chatted about nothing for a minute. Then he paused like he had something on his mind. You doing okay? He asked. I tilted my head. Why? He hesitated, then decided I deserved the truth more than he deserved comfort. I see a lot, he said. People come and go. I don't usually say anything. But your wife's been leaving midday pretty often. I kept my face neutral. Leaving with who? He exhaled through his nose. That guy she talks to out front sometimes. Dan. He's married, by the way. I know because his wife came by once, dropped off lunch, all smiles. My jaw stayed relaxed. My voice stayed level. That was the only way to handle information like that without looking like a fool. How sure are you? I asked. Mike looked at me like I'd asked if the sky was blue. I've watched them walk out together, get in his car, take off. More than once. I'm not guessing. I nodded. Appreciate you telling me. He gave a short, grim nod back. Just didn't sit right. When I went inside, Lacey was on the couch, scrolling, legs tucked under her. She looked up and smiled like nothing was happening. You were out there a while, she said. I ran into Mike, I replied. Her smile froze for half a second. Just half. But I saw it. Oh, she said too casually. Mike. Okay. I sat across from her. You've been leaving with Dan a lot? Her eyes widened, then narrowed. What are you talking about? I'm talking about a pattern, I said. And I'm talking about you. She scoffed. So now you're getting building gossip? That's embarrassing. I laughed once quietly. Nice move. Make it about me. It is about you, she snapped. You're paranoid. You're always looking for something. I leaned back. No, Lacey. I'm just finally looking at what's actually happening. She stood up like she wanted to tower over me. You don't get to interrogate me. I looked up at her, calm. I'm not interrogating. I'm informing you that I'm done playing dumb. She opened her mouth, closed it, then went for the control angle. You need help, she said. This is why people can't talk to you. People can talk to me just fine, I replied. They just can't run a double schedule in my house and expect me to clap. Her face tightened. You're disgusting. I stood up, not rushing. I'm practical. There's a difference. That night, I didn't sleep in the guest room. I slept in our bed. Not because I was clinging. Because I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of pushing me out of my own space. The next morning, I changed the rules. Not with a speech. With actions. I opened a new account at my bank during lunch. I rerouted my direct deposit. I made a clean spreadsheet of bills, mortgage, utilities, insurance. The essentials. I set up my portion to cover exactly that. No extra padding for her lunches, no mystery spending, no soft landing for someone treating me like an appliance. When I got home, she was in the kitchen wearing that neutral expression she used when she wanted to appear reasonable. We need to talk, she said. We can, I replied, hanging my keys on the hook. But I'm not doing circular arguments. So be specific. Her eyes dropped to my phone as if it might confess for me. You've been off. I've been awake, I corrected. She crossed her arms. What is this? Punishment. I smiled. It's budgeting. She blinked. What? I separated my income, I said. Bills are covered. Everything else, you handle your side. Her voice sharpened. You can't do that. I raised an eyebrow. I just did. This is controlling, she said, as if she hadn't been trying to control my reality for weeks. I nodded. Sure. And your secret errands are what? Community service. Her cheeks flushed. You're making this unbearable. I tilted my head. No, you're just not used to consequences. She tried to push harder. You owe me an explanation. I walked past her to the fridge, grabbed a bottle of water, and spoke like I was reading a receipt. I owe myself one thing, I said. Not being convenient while you treat me like I'm stupid. That should have been enough clarity for a normal adult. Lacey wasn't playing normal adult. She was playing for position. That evening, she did the first soft move. The illusion of warmth. I came down the stairs the next morning and found a coffee mug waiting for me on the counter. Fresh. The way I like it. She even set out the little container of cinnamon she always mocked me for. She leaned against the counter, voice low. Can we not do this war thing? I took the mug, smelled it, took a sip. I wasn't going to refuse a cup of coffee out of pride. I wasn't 12. War requires two sides, I replied. I'm just rearranging my life. She stepped closer and put a hand on my shoulder like she was soothing a skittish dog. I miss you, she murmured. I looked at her hand, then at her face. Then act like it. Not like a person clocking in. Her eyes flickered. I am acting like it. I gave her a calm smile. No, you're acting. There's a difference. She pulled her hand back as if I'd insulted her. You're impossible. I shrugged. I'm consistent. You just don't like the new rules. That weekend, we went to a friend's birthday dinner. Ryan and Gina. Good people. Normal couple. We'd known them for years. Their house was one of those clean, lived-in places with family photos and a dog that thinks every visitor is a celebrity. I didn't want to go. Not because I was hiding, but because I wasn't in the mood to pretend. Lacey insisted. It'll be good for us, she said. Get out. Be around people. Translation, put the mask back on. Act normal in public so she could keep her status intact. At dinner, she sat beside me but talked across me. She laughed too loud at other people's jokes and gave me that little dismissive smirk when I opened my mouth. Ryan asked me about work. I answered with a few sentences. Lacey cut in like she was correcting a child. He always makes it sound like he's the only one working, she said, smiling at the table. It's very him. Gina's smile faltered. Ryan looked at his plate. The dog sighed and walked away like it didn't want to be part of this either. I didn't snap. I didn't lecture. I took my napkin, set it down neatly, and looked at Lacey. You done? I asked, quiet enough that only she heard. She blinked, still smiling. What? You want to clown me at a table full of people? I said. So I'm checking. Are you done? Her smile tightened. Stop. You're being weird. I nodded once, then turned to Ryan. Hey, I said, friendly. Appreciate the invite. I'm heading out. Ryan's eyes widened. Trent, you don't have to. I know, I said. That's the point. Lacey grabbed my forearm under the table. Her nails pressed. Not hard enough to bruise, just enough to claim ownership. You're not leaving, she hissed. I looked down at her hand, then back at her face. Watch me, I replied. I stood up, picked up my jacket, and gave Gina a small nod. Happy birthday, I said to Ryan. I'll catch you later. As I walked toward the door, Lacey followed, face tight with panic. That was new. Not sadness. Panic. Like her storyline was slipping. Out on the porch, she stepped in front of me. What are you doing? She demanded. You're humiliating me. I almost laughed. Interesting. You didn't mind humiliating me. But when I leave quietly, it's a crisis. You're making everyone think something's wrong, she snapped. I opened my car door calm. Something is wrong. She lowered her voice fast, scanning the street like neighbors might be watching. We can talk at home. I met her eyes. No, you can talk. I'm listening to actions. Her lips parted, then she went for the dagger. This is why you get left, she said. You don't know how to act. I paused. Not because it hurt, because it confirmed the mindset. I nodded once. Good to know that's how you see me. Then I got in my car and drove away. The next week, she switched tactics again. The second illusion of change, but louder. My phone started buzzing during work with messages from her. Miss you. Can we reset? Dinner tonight? You've been so distant. She even sent a selfie. Nothing explicit, just her smiling, hair done, like she was auditioning for Wife of the Year. I stared at it for a second, then set my phone down. I wasn't flattered. I was annoyed at the timing. That afternoon, I went to my regular cafe after work. It wasn't a secret place. It was my place. Quiet, decent coffee, a few people with laptops and tired eyes. I sat down with my drink. 2 minutes later, Lacey walked in like she'd been in the area. Sure. She slid into the chair across from me without asking. Trent, she said softly, like we were in a movie. I just want to talk. You've been a stranger. I took a slow sip. You tracked me. Her mouth opened slightly. No, I didn't. Don't be like that. I knew you might be here. Right? I replied. So you didn't track me. You just magically appeared. She reached across the table and touched my hand. Too much. Too sweet. Too late. I've been thinking, she said. Maybe we've both been stressed. Maybe we need to prioritize us. I looked at her fingers on my hand. Then I gently pulled my hand back and wiped it on my jeans like I'd touched syrup. Look at you, I said, quiet. All warmth and tenderness. Where was this when I was sitting across from you at dinner getting blamed for my own problems? Her eyes flashed. I'm here now. Because you felt the money move, I replied. She stiffened. That's not fair. I leaned back. Fair? Lacey, you told someone not where you can be seen. That's not a line innocent people use. Her face went blank for a second. Then she tried to flip it. You're spiraling, she said. You're obsessed. I nodded. And you're predictable. She pressed her lips together. So what? You're going to punish me forever. I stood up, slid my card onto the table, and picked up my cup. This isn't punishment, I said. This is me exiting a bad deal. Her voice rose a notch. We're married. I gave her a small, tired smile. Marriage without respect is just paperwork and chores. I walked away before she could launch into another speech. Behind me, I heard her chair scrape like she might follow, then stop. She didn't want a scene in public. That was always the rule. Keep it clean where people can see you. Over the next couple of weeks, I stayed steady. No yelling, no begging, no detective fantasy, just structure. I stopped sharing my plans. If I had a weekend hike with my buddy Calvin, I went. If I had to travel for work, I handled it. I didn't ask her opinion on schedules she was already ignoring. Lacey noticed the shift in a delayed way, like a person realizing the air conditioning is off only after the room gets hot. You're shutting me out, she accused one night in the hallway. I'm shutting out chaos, I corrected. You're acting like you're single, she snapped. I looked at her for a long beat. That's funny. You say that like it's a threat. Her jaw tightened. You think you're so calm. You think you're so superior. I shrugged. I'm not superior. I'm just not panicking. She stepped closer. You're going to regret this. I smiled lightly. Maybe, but I won't regret keeping my self-respect. The turning point wasn't when Mike told me. It wasn't the phone line. It wasn't even her public little jab at the birthday dinner. The turning point was when I realized she wasn't trying to repair anything. She was trying to keep control while keeping comfort. She wanted the house, the stability, the image, and the freedom to do whatever she wanted as long as I stayed confused and paying. So I decided to remove the last thing she relied on, my willingness to be reasonable while she played games. I set up a meeting at my attorney's office. Not a courtroom, not a battle, just clarity and documentation. I asked Mike if he'd be willing to state what he saw. He didn't hesitate. I'm not here to be dramatic, he told me. I'm here because I don't like watching someone get played. I invited Lacey and told her it was a serious conversation. I let her assume it was a reconciliation talk. She loves assuming she's the director. She walked into the office with her hair done, a soft sweater, that careful smile already loaded. Then she saw me seated beside my attorney, and Mike sitting across the room with his hands folded like a man waiting to clock out. Her smile broke before anyone spoke. She stopped in the doorway. Are you kidding me? I stood up and gestured to the chair. Have a seat. Her eyes flicked to Mike. Why is he here? Mike gave her a single calm nod. No anger. Just confirmation. Lacey's voice sharpened. This is a stunt. I sat back down. No. This is clarity. My attorney opened a folder, calm and professional. Lacey, we're here to outline next steps and document statements. Lacey looked at me like I'd slapped her. Trent, you don't understand. I held up one hand. Not aggressive. Just a stop sign. I understand enough, I replied. You chose a life where the truth is inconvenient. Her eyes flicked again. She tried to breathe herself into control. Mike is lying. He's jealous. He hates me. Mike didn't react. He just spoke like he was reading a work order. I've seen you leave midday with Dan, he said. Multiple times. I've seen you choose places away from the front where people are around. That's it. That's what I know. Lacey snapped her head toward him. You're unbelievable. Mike's voice stayed level. I'm maintenance. I don't get paid to make stories. She turned to me fast, voice dropping into that private tone she used when she wanted to reel me in. Trent, she said, we can fix this. You're doing too much. I leaned forward slightly. No, I'm doing exactly enough. Her eyes hardened. So what? You're going to blow up our life because of rumors. I let a beat pass, then spoke carefully. I'm not blowing up anything, I said. You did. I'm just not standing under it anymore. My attorney slid a paper forward, simple, clean. No drama. Just logistics, separation of accounts, living arrangements, who covers what until things are finalized. Boring adult reality. Lacey stared at the paper like it was insulting her. You set this up, she whispered, voice shaking now. You planned this. I nodded once. Yes. Her mouth twisted. You couldn't even talk to me first? I looked at her like she'd asked why I didn't hand a thief my wallet politely. I tried talking, I said. You're dramatic, and you complicate everything. So I switched methods. She stood abruptly, chair scraping. You're not going to do this to me. I stood too, calm. I'm not doing anything to you, I replied. I'm doing something for me. Her eyes flashed wet for a second, then dried into anger. You think you're so righteous. I gave her a small smile. I think I'm done. Then I did the one thing that truly ended her grip. I walked out first. No begging, no final argument in the hallway, no chasing her emotions. Just exit. At home, I didn't pack in a rage. I packed like a man moving forward. 2 suitcases, work clothes, toiletries, laptop, important documents. I'd already arranged a short-term rental through a colleague of mine, Dana, who owned a small place and didn't ask questions. Lacey came home and found me zipping a bag in the bedroom. Her voice went high. "What are you doing?" I didn't look up. "Leaving." "You can't just leave," she said, stepping into the doorway like she could block a decision. I glanced at her. "I can." Her face tightened. "This is insane." I nodded. "It would be insane to stay." She tried the soft voice again, desperate now. "Trent, please. We can reset. I'll do counseling. I'll do whatever." I looked at her for a long second. "You'll do whatever keeps your comfort," I said. "That's what you've always done." Her eyes narrowed. "So you're just throwing me away?" I zipped the bag fully and stood. "No," I replied. "I'm picking myself up." She stepped closer, voice sharp again. "You're going to regret this. You're going to crawl back when you realize you overreacted." I walked past her toward the front door with my bag, calm as a man closing a business deal. At the door, I turned once. "This is the last time you get to call me dramatic for noticing reality," I said. "From now on, you can perform for someone else." Then I left. Door closed. No slam. No theater. Just final. Months later, my life looked better because it was quieter. I moved into a clean place with space, peace, and no tension in the walls. Work improved because my focus wasn't bleeding out at home. I got back into the gym regularly. I saw Calvin more. I reconnected with people I'd been too tired to call. Eventually, I started seeing someone new, Rachel. Not a fantasy, just a stable, direct woman who didn't treat basic kindness like a negotiation tactic. The first time I told her I had a rough day, she put her phone down and asked, "What happened?" Like it was normal to care. "Lacey?" I heard pieces, mostly through mutual friends who try to stay neutral. She moved into a smaller apartment because the normal couple lifestyle doesn't run on one person's income and a smile. Her social circle thinned out fast once she couldn't control the story. Dan stayed Dan, comfortable where he was, careful with his reputation. Funny how that works. And me? I didn't win because she lost. I won because I stopped accepting a role that required me to shrink. Here's what I learned, and it's simple enough that it annoys people who love complicated excuses. First, tone and speed matter. When someone answers a basic question too fast, too detailed, and then attacks you for asking, that's not communication. That's defense. If I had ignored that first night, if I had apologized just to keep peace, I would have trained her to keep doing it. Second, don't negotiate with disrespect. The moment she checked out at dinner and told me I was the reason, I should have tightened the structure. I did it later, but I did it. Separating money and plans wasn't cruelty. It was removing incentives. A lot of men make the mistake of funding the very behavior that's breaking them, then calling it being a good husband. Third, don't chase closure through endless talks. The mistake would have been trying to get her to admit it, trying to corner her into some perfect confession that makes you feel better. People running a double plan don't give you clean closure. They give you fog. My closure came from facts, boundaries, and leaving calmly. Respect isn't a mood. It's a behavior. When it disappears, you don't fix it by begging for warmth. You fix it by changing access. Access to your time, your money, your attention, and your presence. Comfort is nice. But if comfort costs your self-respect, it's not comfort. It's a trap. That's the end of the story. And since you're here, you must have enjoyed it. Why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos? Thanks, and have a nice day.